Okay, back on the bottom bunk, day 3. Here we are. This is an emergency last minute or impromptu recording because yesterday Roe v. Wade got overturned. And I know I
It
sound
was
really excited
Friday.
about that. Oh, okay.
Friday the
It was
24th.
Friday. I feel like I sound really excited about that, but I'm mostly just excited to talk to you, not about the decision in particular.
Yeah, no, not talking about the decision.
Right. Okay, so let's go back because even though we're not talking, like our point is not Roe v. Wade, but this is how the conversation started. So let's just start there.
Roe
Were you following it at all?
no. So this is how it came up. I'm gonna start from the beginning. Roe v. Wade, first of all, was a Supreme Court decision from a long time ago. I don't remember when. But they basically said that abortions were a constitutional right, and they gave like parameters around which a woman could have an abortion, which implied that all states were supposed to allow women to get abortions. Okay. But on top of Roe v. Wade, certain states, especially southern ones, had these trigger laws that were to go into effect if Roe v. Wade were to be overturned. So once it was overturned, people where I am in Texas, they automatically knew that was going to be illegal because they had a trigger law. And so that was like the big freak out that sent everyone spazzing. So yeah, that's what I got. And I wasn't following, I don't know this because I was following anything. I know this because I've done no research whatsoever. So like if I'm saying something and I'm going like completely in the wrong direction, let me know and stop me immediately. But I was talking to my friend and she is really like not involved, but like she follows politics more closely than I do. And so she brought it up in conversation and that's how this whole thing started.
It's a trap.
Yeah, it
So,
was a long drive, so
oh my
that'll
God,
do
you
it.
were driving?
Yeah, I was
Oh
trying.
my
Like me stop. It wasn't even that bad of a conversation. Like she just needed to get it off her chest.
God. Yeah, I feel that, but that's why I couldn't talk to anybody about it. Like, I found out because my friends brought it up in the group chat, and I was just like, nope, not gonna do it today. And they're still talking about it. And I'm just like,
Everyone
no,
is.
no, thank you. It feels like a trap. I mean, I know you have like your like thing for this conversation, but I'm finna vent too because I have things. I have
Oh, I
things.
know. I know. Everyone has feelings about it. And the thing is, it's such an emotional, like such a touchy thing
Mm,
days. And like I really want this discussion to be super sensitive. Like that's why I was like, if I go like left side, left field, like please stop me because I don't want this to be a like
right.
I'm shaming someone or I'm targeting this group,
And I feel
And that's not what this is about. This is not where my heart is coming from at all. My soul
yeah.
is burning because I felt like I just desperately want people to understand that at the root of it, from a Christian perspective, it doesn't matter. It does, but it like doesn't.
So after you had that conversation with your friend, like how did you get from there to like where you are now with like laws don't matter? Which is like oversimplification of it, but
Yeah,
like
that's definitely oversimplification. But I so what happened was when she was talking, you know how when you're talking to someone and they she was telling me her views, but she was more so explaining the different sides and kind of just putting her view in there. And I already know her view because like I know her and she's a pretty progressive person. And so I was trying to explain to her that I'm ignorant on the situation. But as I was talking to her, sorry, my cat is throwing himself at the door. Please ignore that. Um, um, anyway, so while I'm doing this, I'm thinking like, okay, I believe abortion is wrong. I'm pro-life, and she knows I'm pro-life, and I told her, I'm pro-life, and like I do think that it becomes less black and white when we're talking about these special situations. I can't say anything about that, and like because I'm not in those situations, and so I found myself trying to like force myself to form an opinion on those things. And then I was like, wait, why? And I felt like in that moment, I was I was trying to do something that was unnecessary. I was trying to put myself in a role that I didn't need to be in at the time. And
exactly.
like it was like almost like I heard God so clearly at that moment. He was just like, what does your opinion matter? What are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna go up there and make the law different? Like, do you want that position? And I was just like, no. So coming from that place in the car, I came back home and I just started to process, like, this isn't what God wants us to do, because this law, what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter if we support the law or not support the law, is what I'm trying to say. Not that the law doesn't matter in itself, but we just need to be critical thinkers. Like, think about this critically. You're excited about a law that, yes, changes things, but it isn't changing any person, and excuse me if this is a little bold, but this law is like, it may change abortion, but it may not. We might see less innocent souls dying, thank God, but we may end up seeing more babies in dumpsters. And like, that is just as cruel, like, I don't know. That's just,
Yeah.
I'm at a point where, sorry, I don't want to talk to you. Go ahead.
No, keep going.
No, I'm at a point where I'm starting to understand the impact of the fall at a larger perspective. When I say the fall, I mean the fall of man, when sin entered into the world. And it seeps into everything that the world is, because it's everywhere. When you're so excited about a law that was made by fallen humans in a fallen system, in a fallen country, in a fallen world, and you think this law is perfect or gonna amount up to everything that you think it should be, that is worldly, and it's not Christian. In fact, it's anti-Christian, because the whole basis of our faith is that laws can't change people. That's the point of the fall. That's the point of Jesus. That's why he had to come, because Jesus is the only one who can change people. Anyway, off my soapbox.
Amen.
Thank you. Sorry.
Amen. No, speak, sis. Go on. No, that's like perfect. I'm so glad you brought that up, because like, okay, so back in like high school, when a lot of these things were becoming issues, back when Donald Trump was like in office, so that was like, like right before the 2020 election, I was really involved in politics in like a lot of ways. Not just involved in politics, but involved in politics in these really liberal areas where everybody believes the same thing about these things, so that they don't even like talk about it. That was really problematic for me, because I was really interested in politics, but I always felt like the outsider, the one like person in the back of the room, while they're all talking about conservatives like they're the devil, and I'm over here like, but I'm Christian. So like, it's a weird place to be in, where you have to force yourself to think about these things. And I think I came to the conclusion that it's none of my business, which is kind of what you're saying, but in a different way. Like, I'm trying to explain it the best possible way. I think I have a problem when it comes to putting myself in a box and using labels such as pro-choice or pro-life, because, and like conservative and liberal, just like all these boxes, all these things people want to attach, especially like feminism, BLM, and like, these are all political things that I don't necessarily have issues with, but it's just that I'm not going to connect myself to anything that I don't agree with fully. And I think that's kind of like what you were saying, is like, people connect to themselves with these worldly things as though they agree with them fully, but you can't be Christian and also like support some of these things. I mean, I'm not saying you can't, because that's like, I guess that's your Christian liberty, like you can do whatever, but like you can't form your identity around being Black, because that's what BLM does. But as a Christian, you're supposed to form your identity around Christ. So like, you can't pigeonhole yourself like that. And it's the same with every political movement. Every time people want to simplify it down to these two words, and it's like, you can't take a large, abstract, hypothetical, also realistic and individual, a very sensitive topic, and boil it down to pro-choice, pro-life,
Like, good point.
or anything like that. And so I think once I realized that, I was like, so there's just no point in me like, not that there's no point in thinking about it, because we should think about it, we should think critically about it, we should ask, what does God say about this? But I think I got to the point where it was just like, God's will be done.
Yep.
Which is kind of, I think, what you were saying is like, at the end of the day, Jesus saves these people. I can't do anything about it.
Yep. And the reason why I'm not saying that people shouldn't form opinions. That's not what I'm
Of
saying. I'm
course.
not saying that we shouldn't think critically about these things. I'm not even saying whether or not you should support one thing or another. I'm literally just saying that at the end of the day, we're not able to decide, like, for Jesus, whether there's a scripture that says God, when he's speaking and he says, I have compassion on who I have compassion. And that's the end of it.
Mm,
And the way I think about this is that you can't tell me that I have to choose to support whether an innocent baby dies or an 11-year-old has to carry to term her rapist baby. Like, you can't tell me which one Jesus cares about more, because that's an individual situation. And God is going to have compassion on whoever he has compassion in that situation, in all the
yeah.
other situations. There's no way I can generalize that to a population of people, because that's not how God thinks.
Mm,
God doesn't treat us like that. And he's the ultimate judge. So who am I to say that that doctor deserves to lose her medical license? Maybe God wants to judge her a different way for performing that abortion. I can't say how God judges, when God judges. I don't have to be that person. And so I don't need to form an opinion. That's what I meant when I said it doesn't matter. It does matter, but it isn't something that I have to take upon myself and make a part of me. And I don't consider myself progressive or liberal or any of these things, like, or conservative. And Lecrae says in a song, like, Jesus isn't liberal and he's not conservative either. Like, I totally, like, am with that. And I don't think I have to be either. Like, and
mhm.
I'm not even saying this is like a political thing, but in general, when we're thinking about these laws, we just have to think critically, because at the end of the day, like I said, broken system. We're all broken people.
Such a broken system.
And, like, the world is broken. So if you're really relying on any of these laws to be, oh, this one is gonna, like, make Jesus love us, no,
No, people are really acting like
that's not
one
how
law
we
is
earn
gonna
Jesus' love.
heal.
Yes, laws can't
People
heal
are
our
acting
land.
like one law is going to change everything else that is going on. And there are some people that I know are really excited about all these laws people are talking about that'll like turn over like gay marriage and stuff like that. Like some people are getting really excited thinking that once all these things are banned, that everything's gonna go back to Eden or whatever. And it's like before these things were in like institute, like gay marriage just happened. America didn't just fall. You know what I'm saying? Like that
It's
different.
ridiculous, because laws isn't what heals our land. It's people
Right.
turning their wicked ways. It's a heart issue. It's a pure heart issue, and people aren't going to change their hearts just because the law changed. It's not how it works. They're not connected at all. And,
That's what
like,
I was saying.
yeah,
It's just like people are so excited about like the fact that Planned Parenthood won't be open in a bunch of states. And it's like, you know what people are gonna do? People on the borders are gonna go drive to Mexico or something, or like start getting abortions in basements and stuff like that.
they're
And
going to
then
take
you're
those
gonna have
shoddy
innocent
pills
mothers
and they're
dying.
going to die. They're going to
And
take
it's
those
just
shoddy
like
black market pills.
you
And
pick your blood you want in your hands. Go off, I guess.
either way, it's
It's nothing to be
it's
that
not
excited
progress
about.
until Jesus makes it progress. And, like, I understand, I'm not saying it's like there's not going to be any perfect laws, like, I'm
Yeah,
not even bashing this law at all. Like, I'm not even saying I'm supporting it or not supporting it, but
nothing. Yeah.
I'm literally saying that, like, I think it's a great effort to attempt to save innocent blood. I really do. And
But it's not the end.
that is good. But along with that, just know it's
That's
not
all
going
I'm
to be,
saying.
it's not going to look like we
It's not.
expect it to look. And it's going to come with some things. And if the first thing that we're doing when we hear that law is not getting on our knees in prayer, that's a problem, because the world is still broken, whether or not the laws coming out are representing that or not.
So I think on Friday, possibly, I thought about all the teen moms I know
Mm-hmm.
because I was thinking about that one girl that was joking about throwing herself down the stairs that one time. She has a kid now.
Does she?
Last I heard, she actually has a kid now. And I just thought about like, a law is not going to change her mind about throwing herself down the stairs. Like, if that's a joke she was willing to make, then like abortions being outlawed has nothing to do with the rest of her mindset. It's not going to stop her from drinking while pregnant. It's not going to stop her from smoking, doing whatever she's going to do, you know? And it's just like entirely too much to go out and be all gung ho because Roe v. Wade got overturned.
I'm sure people are throwing parties, like especially down here.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I feel like that's something they would do in Texas, have a overturned Roe v. Wade party.
I just don't even know. Like it was like, you want to go shed innocent blood, yada yada yada. And I was like, who were you talking to? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me to villainize. Like, you're sitting around talking about how violence in Baltimore is a spiritual issue, and then you go and villainize people getting abortions as if the law is the issue. You know, I don't know. That was just weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, who are you talking to?
Exactly. I mean, if you're gonna villainize them, villainize the whole world because they're all broken. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, people need a lot of prayer right now. That's all I keep thinking is like
Mm-hmm.
people, we need to be doing a lot of praying and all this celebrating. What are you doing? Jesus is probably looking at us like
That's awkward. They're like, ooh, that is awkward. And there are people out there that
gross.
like, I would pay to be a fly on the wall of like what people's prayers sound like now. People are probably out there like, oh, thank you, God, for overturning
Probably
this. Thank you, God,
filled with
for all the
gratitude.
stuff they're probably like,
They're
oh
worshiping,
my gosh. And he's just like,
celebrating. I just I don't want us to think worldly about worldly things. Like we're not supposed to have that perspective. We're supposed to
mm,
have a heavenly perspective. And like I know it's hard because, we want to do right by God and we want to see other people do right by God. But like if we think that laws are going to change people, then that's not what Jesus was about.
oh my God, I should tell you this is so embarrassing. So this is so low-key a tangent, but related. So the first time when I was on Instagram in like freshman year, maybe, I think I commented on one thing. This is the only time I've ever commented on anything in my life, and I never commented on anything ever again.
Okay.
I commented on a post about abortion that was pro-choice. I don't even remember what I said, but the person that responded was like, sex isn't the only way that babies come into like the world. And like, fair enough. I was a freshman, like in my little privileged bubble. I didn't know anything, like, And so this person like replied this paragraph like, you're leaving out like a whole like section of people, like what we're talking about, like sexual assault and like all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, fair enough, I was wrong. And I never commented anything ever again. I just remember that. So like it is really easy to get like caught up in like your own beliefs and not question things
Yeah.
and not realize certain things and not think about them.
Yeah.
Especially if other people are like simplifying your beliefs as well down to these two stupid little words. Like that's so dumb to me. But
yeah. And it's hard when you don't realize a lot of people don't realize how like unknowledgeable they are too.
yeah.
Like I know how ignorant I am, which is why I just don't speak on anything because like I don't
Yeah.
know anything about anything. But little that I do know, I know enough to know like, right and wrong. And I know enough to know that like I can't put myself in the mind of someone who's been assaulted and say what I would do with that baby. Like I physically cannot do it because I'm not
Nor
the
should
person.
you attempt to.
Nor should I, nor should I
Nor
even
should
try
anyone.
to. But
Right.
I think it's a weight off our shoulders to realize that like we don't have to be gung ho about this because at the end of the
Mhm.
day, God only asks one thing of us, and that is to go out into the world and love people and make disciples. And that's what we should be putting our energy into, not debating.
The original point I was making was that when I was trying to figure out like how I felt about things, like right after this Instagram situation. I try to think about it as if it was any other sin. And I always like bring
Mhm.
it back to murder. Like if it was murder, like how does this equate to murder? And the thing is like murder is outlawed, but people still do it.
Mhm.
So if you just think about that
Same with guns.
for any second, like as much as you want to like compare abortion to murder, if you think about it for 2 seconds, you will realize that murder is also outlawed and people also get murdered. It's crazy. Like just I don't understand. Like I get it. I know that some people don't think, but it's just so
People
frustrating.
really have this idea, I think, and this kind of goes into nationalism a little bit, but they have this idea of what they want America to look like, and they want this pure Christian like country, and that just can't happen. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It just can't. Yeah, I don't know what to do about that, but I just pray that Jesus would have compassion on who he has compassion, and that his will be done, and that he'll save people.
And all the Christians that are out here celebrating Roe v. Wade overturned need to go and donate to the schools and to the teen mom pregnancy volunteer
So,
centers and to the foster care system
yeah,
and
my
all the
other thing with that,
places.
this is like, I don't want to get too political, so if we need to cut this later, but I was just thinking about the law, and like I feel like conservatives are going about it so backwards. Like they could put this money that they're doing, that they're putting into this, and put it into literally like the foster care system, the welfare system, to like give people other options. Because that's the main thing, is that people don't feel like they have better options. And like most people don't really want to carry to full term. But if they did, like if they had a better, if they knew that their child would have a good way of living, then maybe, they get some better sex education, some access to contraceptives. And
Yeah.
we don't have to talk about Christians and their ideas of contraceptives, because like I understand why they don't have boxes of condoms at church. Like I get it. But like I know you
That's
don't want
hilarious.
I know you teach your kids not to have sex, but guess what your teenagers are doing? They're having sex. I'm sorry, they are.
That's for a different episode.
But I know. But anyway, but I was just thinking like, why don't they just put money into like these other options? Because my friend was telling me that the foster system is trash. Like most people who become parents in the foster system are not good foster parents. And they're just doing it for the check. And then the adoption, they charge people like thousands and thousands of dollars for adoption. And I did not know how much adoption costs, but she was like,
It's expensive.
it's like 10K per kid. I was just like, what? So people can't afford all these kids who are in the system, and they're just like staying in the system. It's wild. Anyway,
I did not know it was like 10K. I knew there was a price tag, but gosh,
it's between
that
like
is
5 and 10K with like legal fees and
that's
stuff included. Like,
legal fees. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
so I was like, why
That's
don't
awkward.
make it easier to adopt? Like, if they want people to, I don't know.
I mean, I think the point is that like if their motive was it makes you question their motives. Like if their motives really were to save innocent lives, then maybe they would do that. But I don't think that's their motive. And I think that's what a lot of people are finding is like the motives are off. That's why other people are like, oh, it's just about control, which like it probably is, fair enough. But I just think that's not their goal.
I don't disagree with you. I think their motives are definitely off, but that's politics. That's a broken world for you.
It is. It is.
Thank you for letting me get on my soapbox today. I really needed that.
No
Oh,
problem. I think it was.
yeah, I
We'll
needed.
see how much of that is actually viable. Shall we end the record?
Yeah, I can stop it. Do you want to say good night?
Good night.
Good night. Bed bugs. Bye.
Ew.